for the last like 7 years, maybe plus, I don't even know how many years, anytime the last name Diaz comes up in the MMA world, I never believe any news. There's so much news that comes out, and it always just falls apart. The sources are not credible. The situations never amount to anything. And I think just this past year, just look at it in terms of Nate Diaz and any news that's been going on. Ever since his fight with Leon Edwards, or even before, there was talks about him fighting Dustin Poirier. And I talked about it in a different video about how the only reason why I think Dustin and Nate Diaz fight is because Nate Diaz wants the opportunity to make more money. Why? If he beats Dustin Poirier, a top-ranked lightweight, he's gonna go and demand a lightweight title. Whether you think that's far-fetched or not, I believe that's the mindset that Nate Diaz is in. The same reason why he fought Leon Edwards. Why is Nate Diaz fighting Leon Edwards? In what world does that make sense? But it does make sense in the perspective of a guy that's saying, you know what, I'm gonna face Leon Edwards because if I beat him, he's a top welterweight, I can ask for a title shot. That's a huge pay-per-view. No matter who's the champion, if it's Kamaru Usman at that time, or if Kamaru lost and it was Gilbert Burns or whoever, it would have been a big pay-per-view. But I digress. Nate Diaz, any news with him, I take with a grain of salt, because it's just what happens with Nate Diaz and Nick Diaz. You can't take what these sources are saying too literal. And I feel like this whole Dustin talk is just another chapter in that saga. I think Diaz is bound and destined, for many, many reasons, to wait out and face Conor McGregor in the summer. Dana White came out and said that Conor is projected to come back to the UFC healthy in the summer of 2022. Nate Diaz has one fight left on his contract, and it doesn't look like he's re-signed. It looks like he's doing similar to what Francis Ngannou is doing until after his contract is completed. Maybe that's because he wants to go and do the boxing thing. There's Jake Paul out there. There's other people that he could box. There's other avenues that he can go down. But for the moment right now, Nate Diaz has not signed an extension, and he has one fight left. I don't think the UFC is going to willingly give Nate Diaz versus Dustin Poirier an actual shot to happen. Because Nate Diaz, if he fights Dustin Poirier and loses, and decides that he's never going to fight in the UFC again, you just lost one of your biggest paydays ever with Conor versus Nate Diaz. Conor himself, him facing Nate Diaz, is something that he probably is targeting. And he said it in different tweets and whatnot that it'll happen 1,000,000,000%. But for many reasons, from his perspective, it should happen. One, he's on a losing streak. And Nate Diaz is a guy that he's beat before, and he probably has the confidence that he could beat him again. Conor McGregor also wants a big payday. Wants also to achieve a higher popularity or trend, whatever you want to maybe. I'm putting words into Conor's mouth, but you get my point. Nate Diaz versus Conor is the fight that's going to happen, 100%. And Nate Diaz is not shy to wait things out. Nate Diaz, you tell him he has to wait 6 months, it's fine, no problem. He'll wait 6 months. He's waited years in the past. His brothers waited so long. I forget how long he waited. Nate Diaz is going to hold out. He's not facing Dustin Poirier. He's going to hold on until Conor comes back. You're going to have that big pay-per-view. I don't think it'll do as big as the first two. It'll do somewhere around maybe in the middle or maybe a little bit lower. I don't know. But that pay-per-view is going to be big. It's going to be entertaining. And we're going to see Nate Diaz have the biggest leverage he's ever had after that fight. Nate Diaz now will have 0 fights on his contract. He'll have the potential of fighting all these other guys outside the UFC. It doesn't necessarily have to be just MMA or boxing. It could be other avenues as well. I don't know what's out there potentially for Nate Diaz other than MMA and boxing, but the possibilities are endless. Nate Diaz is not fighting Dustin Poirier, and I'll keep saying that until until an official poster comes out, tweeted by the UFC, retweeted by Dana White, and sent all around the world. Then I'll believe it. But until then, it's Nate versus Conor in summer of 2022, barring that Conor is healthy. Let us know down in the comments below what you think. If you agree with me, what do you think is going to happen? There's a lot of time before Conor even gets healthy, so anything could happen in the meantime. Nate Diaz has done crazier things. Maybe he goes and fights Kamaru Usman or Jorge Masvidal again for the BMF title. You never know. There's so many possibilities, but I think Conor in the summer of 2022 is the right choice.